In this Excel demonstration, we'll be talking about testing the difference between two means of independent samples using the t-test. So we're using the t-test, and we're going to have two different options when we use the t-test. One option is used when the variances of the population are not equal, and the other option is used when the variances are equal. So we'll be using the Excel worksheet, Excel demonstration, store A and B t-test. I've got two worksheets set up. The first one is t-test variances not equal, and the second one is t-test variances equal. So a researcher, if they're doing this as far as making that decision between the variances being equal or not equal, you're going to perform an F-test to make that decision. For us, our textbook, any quizzes or tests that we might do will tell us whether to assume the variances are not equal or assume that the variances are equal. So first thing that we're going to do, so we're using the very first worksheet, and I'm going into the data analysis tool pack, and I'm picking data analysis. Way down at the bottom, we have the z-test, we have a t-test two sample assuming unequal variances, and we have a t-test two sample assuming equal variances. So these two will be the ones that we use for this demonstration. So in this worksheet, it says t-test variances are not equal. So we want to pick this one on the data analysis tool pack. We'll say OK. Pick your variables, your range for your variable 1. So they're highlighted over here on the side, B6 to B35. Then my variable 2 range is highlighted here. So let's go and let's pick everything for store B. So I'm highlighting this entire store. Then we're going to always say, remember that the hypothesized mean difference is 0, that there is no difference between the store A and the store B difference of the means. Then our alpha is 0.05, and then the output range is where we want to place the output when Excel does the calculations. So I'm going to locate it there at E9. Remember what Excel does is Excel gives us information so that we can perform our hypothesis test. So it's going to give us a p-value so that we can make our decision if we're doing the p-value approach, or it's going to give us a test statistic if we're doing the traditional method when performing these hypothesis tests. So I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to stretch out the labels just so that we can see what they are. So what happens is the things that we want to pick up out of this output from Excel is the test statistic. So here's our t-stat. So this value, I'll highlight it. The p-value for a one-tailed, if we're doing the p-value approach, and the p-value for the two-tailed, if we're doing the p-value approach on a two-tailed test. So again, you just want to use these values. You want to set up your hypothesis test, use these three entries depending on whether you're doing the traditional method or the p-value method to perform your hypothesis test. The second worksheet that we have is a t-test where variances are equal. So test the claim that there is no difference between the population means based on these sample data, assume the population variances are equal, and use an alpha of 5%. So going back into the data analysis tool pack, pick data analysis, go all the way down to the bottom, and this time it says test that the variances are equal. So I'm going to go the one above, t-test to sample assuming equal variances. Then it wants the variable 1, so that's our store A price, and it wants the range. So we'll highlight all 30 pieces of data. Then variable 2, again, all 30 pieces of data. We'll highlight. Hypothesized mean, 0. There's no difference. Our alpha is 5%. And in the output range, let's pick that box. And let's pick like the location right here, E10. Okay. We'll expand this out. And we'll come down here and we'll pick up the information that we need. Remember, we've done the setup ourselves. We've figured out, our degrees of freedom on our own. We've figured out any of our critical values if we're using the traditional method. And the information we're picking off of Excel is the test statistic to make our decision if we're doing the traditional method. So I'll highlight that. Or if I'm doing the p-value approach, if it's a one-tailed test, I'm going to pick this value. And if it's a two-tailed test, I'm going to pick this value. So these are the 3 pieces of information that we want to use off of Excel to complete a hypothesis test for a two mean dependent samples.